Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. So here in the UK we always celebrate on the 5th of November bonfire night, and it's a really fun night where we set off fireworks and we usually have toffee apples, or we did when I was a child anyway. So I wanted to make my toffee apple cake and share that with you. So let's get started. Start my toffee apple cake by preparing my apples, and I'm going to be using Bramley apples for these. Eaten apples would probably go a bit squishy inside the cake, and also they're a bit sweet. So I'm just going to be peeling these, coring them, just taking out the centre, and then chopping them up, just roughly, not too big, not too small, because they're going to be going into our cake batter. So I like to just imagine how big a piece of apple I'd want in a slice of cake, and then sort of try and cut it to that sort of size. Our apples are all done, so I'm just going to sprinkle over my pre-weighed flour, and all the amounts will be in the recipe down below. I'm going to try and mix these up, and by rubbing these in the flour it should stop them from sinking to the bottom of the cake, just roughly covered. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of cinnamon as well. Cinnamon apple. It's just a marriage, isn't it? There we are. So I'm just going to set those to one side. I'm just going to start, as always, I weighed out 6 eggs, and then I weighed my sugar, my cooking margarine and my flour to the same weight. So I'm going to start by adding in my sugar, and today we're going to be using a light brown sugar, and that's a soft sugar, because we want to replicate that sort of caramel flavour of the toffee apple in the sponge. I'm going to give that a blitz. So I'm going to add to this now 2 eggs. A nice squeeze of vanilla bean paste, because that just goes with apple and toffee and all that lovely. And then I'm also going to add in another teaspoon of cinnamon. And just a little scoop of my pre-weighed out flour. That'll just stop the mix from curdling, and a pinch of salt just to bring out all those lovely flavours. And we're going to mix that again. I'm going to add 2 more eggs. And whisk again. I'm just going to put in the rest of my flour that's left and give that a quick mix with my hand mixer. Doesn't need to be completely combined, we don't want to mix it for too long. And then I'm going to add in all these lovely cinnamon apples. My apples are falling out. I should have got a bigger bowl. Oh gosh, it smells so good. I got 2 prepared 8-inch tins. These are going to be 8-inch, quite thick cakes. I'm going to empty those in. And then I'm just going to use my spatula just to spread it out in my cake tin so it's nice and flat. I'm going to pop these in a preheated oven at 170 degrees fan, and these are going to take about 40 minutes to cook, but you may want to check them around the 30-minute mark to make sure they're not overcooking. The apple cake out of the oven. Oh, you can smell it. So I'll just get the other one out. So I left the cakes to cool yesterday, I had to go to work, and we're going to start by making the buttercream. So I've got 250 grams of salted butter. I always use salted butter in my buttercream, but obviously you can use unsalted if you prefer. And we're going to beat this for about 5 minutes until it's very light and fluffy. I'm just going to scrape the bowl down in between. that's looking nice and fluffy. I'm going to add in now half of my sieved icing sugar. Oof. We want to put this back on to mix now at the lowest speed possible. Now I'm going to add the second lot of icing sugar with a squirt of vanilla bean paste, and then I'm going to put that back on. Right, so that's all combined. So to this now, I'm just going to add salted caramel, and if you want to find out how to make that, I will put the link down below, and there should be a card here. So I'm going to pop all of this in, quite a lot of salted caramel because we want that flavour to come through. Yummy salted caramel. I can lick the jar after now. And if you don't want to make your own salted caramel, you could buy it, or a toffee sauce, anything like that. But to be honest, it's really quick and simple, and you can keep it in the fridge. So I do recommend giving it a go. So as you can see, this is a nice smooth buttercream, but it is just a little bit stiff to pipe into our cake. I'm going to add just a little bit of cool boiled water to my kettle, just a dribble, and then I'm going to mix it again. I got one piping bag without a tip, so I'm just going to fill that with about half of the icing. So I'm going to start by adding just a little bit of a buttercream onto the cake stand that I've chosen. And I'm going to add my first layer of cake, which is quite soft and moist because of the apple that we added. And then I'm just going to fill this. And what I'm going to do is just do little blobs of buttercream all the way around, just to make it look a little bit prettier. If you did just want to use a palette knife, though, you could do that, would be absolutely fine. I've gone and made an emergency batch of salted caramel because I ran out because I put it all in my buttercream. So it doesn't take very long at all, but it was very hot. So what I've done is I put it in a shallow dish and then put it in the fridge for about 10 minutes. That will cool it down much quicker than in a jar. So it's sort of room temperature now. So I'm just going to drizzle this over. Don't think you can ever have too much caramel. I got my second cake, which I'm just going to place on top. This time I'm going to be putting in a 2D wilton nozzle to decorate the top. Just going to pipe on some sort of squiggles. Like that. So I like to do the 4 sort of sides and then try and fill it in so it's a bit more even. The centre blank because I'm going to be putting in there an optional decoration, which is going to be some toffee apples. So I'm going to make those now. What I would say is they're absolutely delicious, but you want to make them just before you serve the cake because the toffee apples will start to dissolve after an hour or two and they won't look very pretty on top of your cake. So I'm going to start by making the caramel. So I'm going to add in my sugar, and all the quantities will be down below, and then I'm going to add in my water. I'm going to give that a quick mix, just so that the sugar is all covered with the water. I've got my sugar thermometer ready on the pan because everything's going to get quite hot. So I'm going to turn this on. While this starts to boil now, which is going to take about 5 minutes for all the sugar to dissolve, I'm going to start getting my apples ready. We don't want to get them ready ahead of time because they'll start to turn brown. So I've got some more apples here, so I'm just going to start by peeling them. And you want quite chunky apples to be able to cut out your balls. So I'm just going to use a melon baller to make little balls of apple. Just like that, very cute. Just hit the right temperature. Okay, so I'm going to take my balls and I'm going to turn them in the toffee till they're fully coated. and I'm going to pop them onto some greaseproof paper, or in my case a silicone mat. So I'm just going to carry on with the others. So I'm just going to use my little caramel balls now to decorate the top. And then just to finish off, I'm going to add a little bit more of my salted caramel sauce on the side. And then we can cut into it. Don't want to be too fussy, just a little drizzle. So, let's have a taste. Should we get a bit of everything? A bit of apple. It's so moist, but the sponge is really light, and you can really taste that Bramley apple coming through, along with salted caramel buttercream and that little bit of caramel from the apples on top. Perfect for bonfire night. Thank you very much for watching today. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please hit that subscribe button. I do post you every week on a Sunday, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.